Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sophie and today I am going to be reacting to a video from True Story Animation. My girlfriend is making my family hate me is what it's called. So before we get started, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, turn those post notifications so you don't miss any videos. But maybe too, so let's get started. You should go check out this channel. It's a really good channel. I can stay on it for hours. I love this channel. So you should go check it out. You can watch so many interesting stories. So yeah, let's get started. A little confusing.
Run, Caleb, run! Harvey shouted.
Okay.
My friends and I had been trying to break into a shop to steal some spray paint when all...
Guys, here's a lesson. Do not steal. Make sure not to do that. That is horrible. Bad. Just make sure not to do that, okay?
of a sudden, we heard sirens. Someone must have seen us and called the police, Gary said. We ran and ran until we were out of breath. We collapsed near an old dumpster until we could breathe properly, then went to buy some beer. This was the norm for us. My friends were some of the roughest.
Beer is bad. Don't drink beer either. This is just a horrible person. Don't smoke.
Toughest, meanest people you could ever meet. There was Harvey, who wanted to become a hitman in the future because he said it paid a lot.
Don't become a hitman criminal. Do not, please.
Then there were Gary and Travis, who wanted to become serial robbers. We came from different backgrounds, though. Their families were all struggling, and this led them to want to pursue a life of crime. I, on the other hand, came from an extremely wealthy family.
First of all, if you come from a extremely, I can't tell. If you come from a extremely rich family, why would you want to steal something that's maybe $5 for the most, or maybe a few thousands? If you are rich, why would you want to steal that? Literally.
My parents hated my friends and couldn't understand why I chose to hang out with them. In fact, I'm pretty sure I was the family embarrassment.
Probably.
At 17, I was already drinking, smoking, and involved in a few crimes that I can't mention here.
No wonder you are.
My brother Matthew was 1 year younger than I was. He was the complete opposite of me. He was respectful, tidy, and had good friends. I think the only bad thing he ever did in his life was turn in a homework assignment 1 day late. When I wasn't hanging around my friends, I could be found dating the most repulsive types of girls. My parents would be furious whenever I brought them home, and I don't blame them at all. First, there was Sandra, who would smoke in our living room. Then, there was Eliza, who had piercings all over her face and so many tattoos. It was also impossible for her to utter one sentence without swearing. But I think the worst of all was...
This is Webflow.
No.
Meet the design tool from the
worst
future.
enemy.
The most powerful visual coding tool,
What's
coupled
going
with the
on?
most intuitive visual CMS that supports any custom content structure. Build complex, rich animations without writing a line of code.
There we go.
Tiffany. She stole things from our house, and we only found out because my dad walked in on her at the right time. She was trying to steal my mom's emerald necklace. My father screamed at her, and she swore at him. It was crazy. Before I continue, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, or you'll end up dating only psychos for the rest of your life. I'm not kidding. Anyway, my dad had enough when the police brought me home one night for trying to break into a donut shop with my friends. What can I say?
Why would you break into a donut shop if
He
you're
asked
rich?
me to sit in the living room and gave me a long lecture. Caleb,
And that's
you
just
were
rude.
behaving worse than a child who was raised on the streets by wild animals. You are a complete embarrassment to this family, and I'm tired of it, he said. Whatever,
I would be
I
too,
shrugged.
literally. Look.
I'm not going to live forever, son. As you know, I have a lot of money which my children, you and Matthew, are supposed to inherit after I die, he continued. Yeah, I know that, I said. What I'm trying to say is that if...
First of all, I'd be scared what he might do with that money. I don't even think he'd use it. I'm sure he'd probably just buy a house or something with it, or just keep the one he's already living in, and still do crimes. Don't even know. Hopefully he can change.
If you don't completely change your behavior, I'm going to give your full inheritance to Matthew.
Exactly. Crime.
I don't feel like you're grateful for all I do, and I don't think you are responsible enough to handle a lot of money. I trust Matthew. I'm proud of him. You are a complete disappointment, he said. His words completely shocked me, and I guess it was the reality check I needed
Why
to
would
change my
he
life. I had
shock
not been taking anything at school seriously, and wasn't remotely interested in ever going to college. I needed my dad's money to survive for the rest of my life. I didn't explain this all
Why
to him,
can't you
but
get a
I
job?
told him I would try to change.
Why can't you get a job? That's how most people make a living, is jobs. You can't rely on your parents' money forever. Seriously.
I stopped hanging out with my friends and stayed to myself. I'd go out alone and come back home bored. I really missed the thrill I got from my dangerous life, and sometimes I thought I'd go back to it. But then I thought of the money. That was enough. Luckily, or so I thought, I met someone who would change my life and make me happy instead of bored. I met Layla when I went to the movies alone one night. I noticed that she was also by herself. Since I was already so bored and had no one to talk to, I followed her inside and sat next to her. After the movie, we spoke and I asked for her number. She gave it to me and let me walk her home. The next few weeks were beautiful. I took Layla out on exquisite dates and started getting to know her. I met her family when we became comfortable enough for that, and one night, I finally brought her home. She was the first girl my parents ever liked. She was very polite and respectful. She explained to my parents that she had been studying to become a nurse because she loved helping people. Wow, Caleb, you finally brought a real human being home. I was getting tired of these savages you were picking up on the street. My dad laughed one night after she left. Yeah, well, you told me I needed to change, and I listened to you, I replied. Layla started coming over more frequently, and my parents adored almost everything she did. After dinner, she'd always offer to clean up. She always got along very well with Matthew. They were always laughing together about something. It was like she blended right in. After a while, my parents started to nag me like they used to in the past. Son, I'm sure Layla doesn't keep her room so untidy. Why don't you clean up? My mom would say. Matthew is so much more organized than you are. When last have you taken a shower? You stink, my dad would add.
I'm sure he
They would
does.
nitpick about little, irrelevant things, and I couldn't understand why. I had really made an effort to change. I didn't even drink or smoke anymore, and they were upset because I
That
left
is a
some clothes on
humongous
a chair.
change. I am very proud of whoever that guy is.
I don't mean to sound funny, but my father stopped nagging after he had a heart attack. We were all watching TV together in our living room, and suddenly my dad fell onto the floor and grabbed his chest.
I am
He's
literally
having a
almost
heart
in
attack,
tears.
Layla screamed.
That is not
We
a
called
good thing.
911 and they took him to the hospital. When he was released, Layla came over more often to help take care of him. My mom even offered her a bedroom in our house, and she started sleeping over. We were grateful for this help, since none of us had a background in medicine or nursing. Late one night, after everyone had already gone to bed, I woke up suddenly because I was feeling thirsty. I went to the kitchen to get some water, and on my way back, I heard some muffled noises coming from Matthew's room. The door was left slightly ajar, so I pushed it a bit and peeked in. I couldn't believe it. Layla and Matthew were kissing. I was shocked, but mostly angry. How could my own brother do this to me? How could my girlfriend move into my house and cheat on me with my brother? I wanted to hurt them, but
I guess Little Miss Perfect Son, supposedly, is not such a good person deep down inside. You heard me. I mean, look at that face. He's angry. Literally. Why would the perfecto brother do that? Well, I guess we'll find out.
I just turned around and went back to my room. I decided
Good.
that I'd approach
Always
each of them
walk away from
privately
drama.
to see if they'd confess the truth to me. The next morning, I went to Matthew's room. He was
sneaky.
sleeping. I woke him up. Do you think it's weird that my girlfriend lives here now? I asked. No. Why would I? He replied. Well, you've never had a girlfriend, and you've never even had a girl over. Doesn't it make you uncomfortable? I said. He looked confused, then replied, Not at all. Layla's okay. We barely talk anyway. I'm always in my room studying. Is this what you woke me up to ask me? I can't stand you. Please, go away. Then he put his pillow over his head and pretended he had gone back to sleep. Wow, I thought. My brother is a liar. and he's more loyal to some girl than me. I went downstairs and found Layla sitting by herself in the dining room. "Good morning, my love. How are you?" I said. "I'm okay. How are you, my honey bunch?" she replied while kissing me on my cheek.
It's not Honey Bunch. It's Honey Bunches of Oats.
I was just wondering, what do you think about Matthew? Does he ever bother you or make you feel uncomfortable? I asked. What? No. Why would you think something like that?
Only reason why he's thinking it is because you were caught kissing. Honey. I guess we didn't hear the whole story, though.
Matthew is cool. We don't say much to each other, though. Just good morning and good night.
Yeah, you don't say much to each other because you're too busy kissing.
Mostly, she replied. She wouldn't admit a thing, either. I waited until everyone was distracted. Then, I placed a small recording device in Matthew's room. It was connected to an app on my phone, so all I had to do was open the app and I could listen to them. Meanwhile, my parents continued to nag me like never before. I couldn't understand why until one night when I opened my app to listen to Matthew and Layla. "So, do you think it's working?" said Matthew. "Yes. Your parents adore everything I do, and they're constantly comparing me to Caleb. They think he doesn't deserve me, actually," Layla replied. "I keep telling them that Caleb is a waste of time and hinting that they should leave everything to me too," said Matthew. "Great. We just need to put in a little more work so your father realizes how completely useless Caleb is."
Caught! Caught! They have just been caught! Ha! I guess we'll just see. I went a little cuckoo.
"He's going to die soon and leave everything to you. Then we can finally run away together and be rich."
No! No! What a bunch of meanies! Pew pew. Meanies.
"Forever," Layla laughed. "Meeting you 5 years ago was the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you for making my brother believe that you were into him. This plan would have never worked without you," Matthew continued. "What?" I thought. They knew each other before? Then I heard muffled sounds, so I assumed that they started making out again. Disgusting. This was an interesting revelation. The two of them had created a plan to turn my parents against me, so they'd leave everything to Matthew. The most hurtful part was that they were in love even before I met Layla. This was heartbreaking. What about my dad's condition? I thought. Did they have something to do with that too? I've got to tell my dad, I decided. I ran straight to his room and barged in without knocking on the door. "Mom, can I talk to Dad alone, please? It's urgent," I said. "Why can't I hear too?" she replied. Fine. Listen, Mom, Dad, Matthew isn't who you think he is. I saw him making out with Layla the other night, so I left a recording device in Matthew's room," I started. "Matthew? Kissing a girl? I thought he was," my dad joked. "Dad, stop. Let me finish. I just found out that they've known each other for years. In fact, I think they're in a relationship and they only used me for their twisted plan. They're trying to turn you against me so that you leave your entire fortune to Matthew. Then they're going to run off together. They're the ones who've been telling you awful things about me. And that's why you started nagging me so often," I said, almost crying. The fact that my dad was smiling the whole time didn't help either. My mom, on the other hand, looked bored. "Well, I've got to admit that this whole plan is quite cruel. But Matthew isn't our biological son. We adopted him when he was a baby, and of course, you were too young to remember that. I never intended to leave anything to him at all. I just told you that to scare you," my dad said while continuing to smile. "You're our pride and joy, Caleb. We're sorry we've been nagging you so much, but we want you to be more responsible. You were really going down the wrong path, but you're our son, and we'll always love you," my mom said. The next day, my dad kicked Matthew and Layla out of the house, but not before I gave them a piece of my mind. Our home has been quiet since then. My parents don't nag too much, and I still haven't returned to my old group of friends. Life is great for now.
Well, guys,
I keep telling.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Watch more of my videos, and it's about to be 15 minutes. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Watch more of my videos more often. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Um,